Hi everyone, welcome back! As promised, this video is going to be about painting realism with watercolors. Long story short, I've been afraid to get back into painting realism for a couple of years now, but when I saw this book, RHS Flowers, the watercolor art pad on Vinted, I decided to give it a go. What you are seeing now is the flip through of the book and art pad, and right after this you will be seeing the speed up painting of the first tutorial included in this book, which is a tulip. I'm using my Schmincke Akademie watercolors on these paintings, and if you'd like to see a more in-depth view of this palette, head over to my video titled Tidying Up and Reswatching some of my palettes. Stick around until the end to see other paintings from this book that I have finished off screen. Now, here's the long story that led me to make this video. It's been a while since I've known that I've been facing creative burnout. I've been trying to get around it by being creative in other ways, but sometimes time is the best healer. A couple of years ago, there were some chains of events that were not the easiest for me to face. At the end of that particular year, I also painted my favorite watercolor painting to this day. And I wish this was the end of the story, but it wasn't. I should have been able to move on to other paintings. I mean, I had in the past surprised myself by what I could paint, but this time, when I finished that painting and was appreciating how happy I was with not only the process of the painting, but also with the outcome and how far I'd come in my self-taught painting journey, I suddenly felt afraid. I was afraid of the next painting not being as good, of never again painting something that made me feel as proud. Sounds super silly, right? Well, it is and it isn't. Yes, every artist will tell you that not everything that is created will be a masterpiece, and that is absolutely true. In fact, the process of creating a painting is more important than the outcome. This is one of the reasons I love keeping a sketchbook, as it allows me to create both the not so good and the good art without the immediate judgment of someone else's eyes. However, that time the fear lingered. I fell into the self-doubt trap, and it took me about 2 years to recognize what was happening to my creativity. It is true that I've been keeping myself creatively busy, but also I haven't been reaching for my watercolors in the same way as before, or even painting the same way as before, which makes me sad as I truly love to paint with a more realistic style. For the past 2 years, I've been mostly loosely sketching, as you've seen in my palette sketching videos, and experimenting with new mediums. I've also come to realize that although these are great ways to keep creating, they were also little excuses to procrastinate painting in my favorite style. They were excuses I was using to keep me from failing, from trying to paint new subjects in that realistic style and not getting it right at first try. It is inevitable in the creative process of any artist to fail and create art that doesn't go anywhere, especially after you create something that you are truly proud of. But I was really struggling to shake the fear off this time. I don't know when it happened, but things finally clicked back into place for me, and I decided to take a leap of faith and get myself back on track when I saw this book for sale. I had mentioned in my end-of-year Instagram post that one of the goals for 2025 was to go back to painting again from tutorials. This is because it's not only an amazing learning experience to see how someone else tackles a painting, but also it allows me to analyze their process and then make the changes I feel are better suited to my painting process. In this way, both watching the tutorial and then painting it in my own way are learning processes that have always allowed me to improve my painting techniques very fast. And this book sort of lines up with this goal. I found this on Vinted for £4, and when I received a coupon for free shipping, I really didn't second guess it and got it. This book features 4 tutorials on how to paint complex and realistic flowers and botanicals, and it has 15 outlines printed on watercolor paper, 4 for the tutorials and then 11 without a tutorial. All 15 outlines have a corresponding reference picture, as well as recommended colors to paint them with. The tutorials are in a step-by-step format with written instructions alongside progress images. I have never owned a watercolor book like this, but what drew me to it was the fact that since the printouts are already done for you, there is no decision fatigue on what I should paint next. The outlines are also quite faint, and each watercolor sheet can be pulled out of the book, so it is easier to paint. In my opinion, the tutorials are quite basic and not suitable for absolute beginners. They serve more as pointers on what you could do next in your painting, and I ended up only following them very loosely, which is fine as I only needed some guidance on how to tackle the first few paintings to get back into the swing of things. In fact, very often I tend not to follow the guidance a tutorial gives me, not because I think I know better, but my instinct guides me to simplify the painting process, condense steps into the same layer, and even change the order in which to tackle certain parts. As a matter of fact, this happened with the speckled pumpkin tutorial, where the book instructs to paint the wet on dry details first. From experience, I already know that the Schmincke Akademie watercolors are not very staining, so as soon as I try to paint over details, they will easily dissolve and fade away, so why make myself repeat the same step twice? Instead, I painted the wet on wet layers first, as I usually do, and then finished the painting by applying the green speckle details on the pumpkin over that layer. So, if you're familiar with watercolors, water control, lifting, color mixing, layering and glazing, and also following your reference picture, just to name a few things, then this book/art pad is very much worth it. But the tutorials aren't the best part of it anyways. It's actually the paper. I didn't think the paper quality on this would be that great, but trust me when I tell you this. I scrubbed the paper more than 1,000,000 times during the process of painting the tulip, always working to regain some highlight I had covered up with a layer, and every single time the paper handled it amazingly well. By the end of the tulip painting, I didn't have a single millimeter of paper that showed the signs of abuse it had endured, and that for me turned this painting experience into one I will remember for a really long time. I truly enjoyed painting in this book so far. It might not have cured my burnout for good, but it was a step in the right direction, and I sure hope to get a bit more confident when next year rolls around by choosing my own reference pictures to paint again. By the time this video goes live, I managed to paint 3 of the images from the tutorials: the tulip, the calla lilies, and both the pumpkins, although only the speckled one is part of the tutorial. Also, there is no tutorial for the calla lily leaf. So far, my favorite paintings were actually the 2 without the tutorial: the calla lily leaf and the pumpkin with the green bottom. I felt a lot of resistance when I first started painting them, simply because of how challenging they were. I really had to stop and look at the reference images, but layer by layer, ridge by ridge, and bubble by bubble, the painting started to take shape, and I was really happy with the progress I was making. These 2 elements of these illustrations are by far my favorite, and I'm really proud of how they ended up looking. I will keep on painting on this book until it is all complete, and then perhaps I'll include a flip through of it into one of the sketchbook flip through videos in the future. In case you are interested in this book, there are a couple more books in the series. The one I bought is called Flowers, although it also includes a couple of pumpkins and some small seed paintings. The other 2 books are called RHS Flowers, the Watercolor Art Path, and RHS Botanical Art, the Watercolor Art Path. I'll leave links to all 3 books down in the video description. And that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching me paint this tulip and seeing how some of the other paintings turned out. Let me know down below in the comments what was your favorite painting from this book. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more if you haven't already. Also, if you stuck around until the end of the video, go ahead and leave a leaf emoji in the comments below. It truly makes my day to know someone has enjoyed the video enough to watch all of it. Plus, emojis are cute and this also helps a lot with the algorithm and for my video to reach more people. The next video is going to be another sketchbook flip-through video, so if that interests you, feel free to click the notification button so you are notified when that video goes live. Anyways, thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video!